What's going on, guys? Wanted to do a quick trade recap on a trade that I took today on SPX. So coming over to the charts, I have my 3-minute chart pulled up on SPX. So this morning, what I was watching for was essentially looking for weakness in the market. We were opening above previous day range, as you can see here. The green lines right here indicate the range of yesterday's high and low. So at open, we did chop around for a little bit, but as soon as we approached 10 a.m., we did start to notice a little bit of downside movement. So at this point, what I was waiting for was a break and retest of either the 15-minute opening range break low, and later on in the morning, after we weren't able to, we did have a really solid break of that 15-minute opening range break low, but we didn't have a solid retest, and I couldn't find a sufficient entry to take a position to go short. So at this point, what I was waiting for was the same thing, but on the 30-minute opening range break low. So same thing happened right here at 10 o'clock. We did break below that 30-minute opening range break low. We did come back and retest, as you can see here. My typical entry would have been right here, this confirmation candle to go back down, but I wanted to wait for a little bit more confirmation, especially it being SPX. It is very volatile, but I just want to see that this 30-minute opening range break low level right here would be a new level of support if we were to continue back towards the downside. So I like this push down. We did come back to test this previous day high. I was expecting some resistance, especially it being breaking through back into yesterday's range. I was expecting a little bit of resistance, which is exactly what happened right here. We kept rejecting for these next few candles, eventually to make a move back up towards the downside. And once we did come back and retest this 30-minute opening range break low again, I did decide to take an entry on this candle right here, and we had a sharp move back towards the downside to break below the previous day high. I did take my first scale out at new low of day, held the rest of the runners, and this candle right here came out of nowhere. This was actually due to news, and not gonna lie, I was a little lucky. Although my premiums were already in the money, I was already out almost 80% of my position by this point anyways. I was holding 2 runners, so this news candle came out of nowhere, and these premiums spiked, I think, almost 300 bucks each contract. So I was able to scale out most of my position, I would say around 76.55. Unfortunately, I didn't scale out all the way at the end. I thought we were going to keep going lower, and I got a little greedy, but luckily still was able to capitalize from this huge candle right here. So I did exit most of my position right here. I was expecting this to come back up and retest the EMAs or previous high, which is exactly what ended up happening. We did come back to make a move back a little lower, but my exit was perfect because we did classic break and retest of the opening range on the 30-minute that I typically look for on most days. I typically trade QQQ NASDAQ, but as of recent, I've been seeing a lot better and smoother movement on SPY, ES, and SPX, which is all based on the S&P 500. And I really like the way that SPX premiums move. I'm not a big fan of SPY. I think just for the amount of size that you put on and how much it pays, it's just not that great. QQQ is kind of like that middle spot, the sweet spot between SPX and SPY. But again, just the price action on QQQ and NASDAQ just has been horrible. So I'm kind of leaning over towards SPX. It's probably not going to be an everyday thing, but when we have moves like this, I'll choose to take positions. But kind of what I mean right here, as you can see, we have a nice rejection of the 30-minute opening range high. I don't really take reversals. I like to take an immediate break of opening ranges. Could have took the same, practically almost the same position here on QQQ, but just look at how choppy this movement is. I mean, like, holding through this is just a headache. I just don't think it's worth the stress that you're putting on. Until we get better price action, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious on QQQ. I mean, I took a big loss on this yesterday. The movement has just not been great. Confirmations have been a little confusing. Hopefully this recap helps out. I intend to do more of these, hopefully every day, win or lose. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and looking forward to doing more of these soon.